St. Augustine's Knights of Lights.
Wow.
I'm done. Just cease. That's it.
Right? We're ending the show there.
That's perfect.
The Knights of Lights.
That'll take care of our problem.
That's not snow in downtown St. Augustine. They're firing lice from the cannons on the Treasury building.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm here.
That's all I have for today.
Hey, can you grab that sob?
Honey, keep the top up on the saw. We're going through Knights of Lights.
Don't touch that, Audrey.
Don't roll the windows down.
Wash your hands.
Right.
Wear a hat and a mask.
All right, let's try this again. St. Augustine's Knights of Lights.
Okay.
They say faces sustainability challenges amid over-tourism concerns. St. Augustine's renowned Knights of Lights event draws visitors from around the globe to witness the city's festive holiday lighting displays. However, city leaders are expressing concerns about the sustainability of the event. Really, like 30 years later, we're talking about the sustainability of this event. It's the biggest event we have in St. Augustine, by the way.
It's the most important event we have for
it really
hospitality
is.
industry.
If you're one of the folks that really leans heavy into tourism, this is it. This is the event. Due to the increasing number of tourists. Mayor Nancy Sikes-Kline highlighted the issue of what she calls over-tourism. Noting that the influx of visitors has led to significant challenges, including severe traffic congestion. Where has she been for 20 years? This has always been the case for 20 years.
She's putting the stamp of approval on it, though, I think. Like, this is what she has experienced.
I mean, she's had a long time to do this.
Yeah, this was by far our most successful Night of Lights as far as people coming. And there was a lot of people here. And I'll tell you this, I'm blaming more the wayfinding to get to the parking lots. I mean, the city, thank you, city, for setting up the parking lots and the shuttles.
Yeah.
But no one knew how to get to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I live right in it. And I didn't have a problem. And people that are there and live in it don't. My neighbors don't have a problem. We stand in the front yard and laugh at people.
Yeah, you do.
But like, you don't leave downtown, right? Once you're in, is there a certain time?
You plan ahead. You know what's happening.
Right.
And during Hell Week, you're done by 3 o'clock. You know the roads are going to get real bad after 3 o'clock, and you plan your day around that. But this is how we survive as businesses. And as crappy as August and September and October was, anybody making this statement doesn't understand the business community. They just don't.
The mayor described the situation as gridlock that was unprecedented in its severity, indicating that the usual flow of traffic was severely disrupted. Really, I didn't see much difference from other years. Despite the lack of data, they say, the St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, and the beach's Visitors and Convention Bureau reported that local hotels experienced a successful season. Well, Troy, you'd have more information on that, and you agreed with that. However, city officials are keen, who uses that word anymore? Keen, to ensure that Nights of Lights becomes less disruptive to the daily lives of residents and local businesses. I mean, how do you do that?
Work on your damn wayfinding so people can find it so they don't have to drive around. So, I mean, that was the problem.
And by wayfinding, you mean signage?
Signage of how to get there. I mean, I have people on my street like, hey, I'm trying to look for this free. I was like, okay, you got to go back up here to US 1, and it's across the way there. Yeah. So, you know, they got to be able to get there. The parking garage was closing probably around 1 every day because it was full. You know, Ameris Bank, you know, did it. I mean, congratulations to Ameris Bank. They helped out a lot of nonprofits. Yeah. They donated their parking lot pretty much every night, and they're just amazing people over there. But you have to be a nonprofit and you have to bank at their bank. So, but I mean, they really helped out a lot of, they need to get some credit for that. They helped out a lot of nonprofits during that time.
Definitely, man. Nancy Sikes-Kline emphasized the need for balance pointing out that St. Augustine is a living community, not a theme park, and that quality of life for residents must be preserved. Why does she sound like Pete Melfi in 2016? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is very interesting. I'm just wondering where this turn in perspective has actually come from, because this has been the situation for many years, and she never cared about it before. Mm-hmm. In response to growing demands of the event, the St. Johns County increased its financial support for Nights of Lights in 2024, allocating $100,000 for the event itself and $200,000 for shuttle services aimed at reducing road congestion. We've also got the Browdy's parking garage that's coming up soon at this point, right? I mean, how can we even...
Can we start that, please?
But how can we even talk about this right now when that is supposed to be, according to the mayor like 2 years ago, a big solution for the traffic and the parking and all that stuff?
It still hadn't happened.
Right, it still hasn't happened. So why are we having this discussion when we've got a traffic solution on the way? We've got a parking solution on the way. It's just very strange and suspicious to me a little bit, honestly. The funding is part of a broader effort by the county to market St. Augustine as a tourist destination. It's why we've always been doing all this. Mm-hmm. However, city officials, including Commissioner Barbara Blonder, who I'm not impressed with personally, by the way, argue that these measures may not be sufficient given the area's rising population and the event's increasing popularity. I mean, we're acting like this year was some sort of massive outlier that we've never seen before, like we've never experienced Nights of Lights before. It was the same as it's always been. We know what Nights of Lights is. This is what Nights of Lights is. She expressed concerns about the financial burden on taxpayers. I don't think that's a valid concern.
What?
Those are just words that she said. I don't even think she understands what she said. The burden on taxpayers. What does that mean? I'm sick of people saying words and they don't explain what they mean.
The people that come here pay taxes.
Yeah, it's not impressed by Blonder. On taxpayers and the potential impact on residents' quality of life. People have been screaming this for 30 years. She called in for additional support from the county and the business community to cover they're going to want to help you out after statements like that, the business community. To cover the infrastructure costs. The business community should cover the infrastructure costs. I think that's something the city should handle, actually.
Well, there have been business owners that have come to them and said, hey, we'll build a parking garage here if you allow it. But they were so locked in on the Browdy's thing, they said no. They ignored it.
Yeah. Not everybody is bright on that commission. Without significant assistance, Blonder worried that maintaining the Nights of Lights for its full 2-month duration might not be feasible.
Right. Meaning they're going to cut it even shorter?
I'm going to give you some business numbers of where we were at before Night of Lights. We were down, our company was down 8%. And our company's right in the middle of everything. There are other hotels that were down 20 to 30%. Mm-hmm. All right. At 8%, you start laying people off. At 20%, you're on a skeleton crew and people don't have jobs. Yep. So what you're talking about is costing people jobs. We were able to get to only down 2% for the year because of Nights of Lights. Mm. It saved people's jobs. All right. Yeah. I am sorry if you went downtown and you got caught up in traffic and you went down the wrong road. Because if you go down the wrong road, you are screwed. But if you're a local, you should be able to manipulate your way through. You know how to get through the thing. But I can tell you right now, they're talking about costing people's jobs, and that's not cool. Yeah. So you need to think about that before you start.
They don't understand how business works. Yeah. I mean, they've proven that time and time again. These two specifically have proven that time and time again.
Yeah. When you start affecting people's jobs, it's you got to really take a look at yourself.
Yeah. They don't know. They don't care. They're just not in touch. City officials are awaiting a report from the city manager in February, which will provide further insights into the event's impact and sustainability. Yeah. I mean, look, man, I'm not a fan of driving downtown during Nights of Lights either. I'm not a fan of tourists either, obviously. But at the end of the day, Nights of Lights is the biggest like money draw for St. Augustine, period. Tourist money draw for St. Augustine, period. So everybody who understands the impact that tourism can have in St. Augustine, and how much money it does bring, and how many people's jobs and livelihoods it does affect, like you just mentioned, Troy. Again, I'm not a fan of the tourists, and I'm not a fan of the traffic, but I'm a fan of the city doing well. I'm a fan of people having jobs. I'm a fan of businesses staying alive. And they just don't seem to understand that. To even consider, like, changing Nights of Lights or cutting it more.
Try being a waiter in St. Augustine in September.
Yeah.
And then start talking about this.
Yeah.
Do 1 month as that and see how well your bills come in, because the bills keep coming.
Yeah.
Well, we got to cut you. You can't. We don't have enough traffic. We got to cut you. And that's the worst words you can hear as a server when rent is due.
Yeah.
And you know what? That happens a lot in September. It happens a lot in August. I mean, this is how these guys can kind of make it through. So it's frustrating. A lot of people talking about, these hotels. We want hotels in that area because those people aren't driving around. They park and they stay.
Right.
They jump on a trolley or whatever.
Hilton you can't get out of.
Yeah.
We tell our residents, and they're paying high dollar. We tell our residents after about 3:00, you really don't want to get in your car. And you know what? We have zero complaints about it because they're there to be a part of the Nights of Lights. So they're part of they're there to be a part of the event.
I spoke to a business owner that did not like this success, and they said for every 300 people that they could take in, they had to turn 300 people away. But isn't that just not allocating your business properly then on the model of Nights of Lights, right?
That's a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I'm like, why wouldn't you celebrate that? Yeah,
that's a wonderful problem to have. I mean, that's.
Are they looking at those 300 people they turned away as not an opportunity? Well, then you got to figure out how to allocate your business to be able to accommodate those people.
How to accommodate them.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's where I was too. That was just on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically just telling you we get full quickly.
Right.
I mean, right? You're serving 300 people. You're providing a service to 300 people, regardless of who those 300 people are. And if your business is doing well, people have to turn people away.
And I talked to Chief Michaud about this too, who is saying that the quality of the tourists that were here were actually pretty good.
It was amazing.
Yeah, they like honestly, the crime was the most were these pickpocketer gangs that they saw or whatever. But yeah, people were jolly and getting along, and it was fine. I mean, other than the traffic issue,
it was
that's what we want. We want the quality tourists.
It was a much higher volume of South Florida this year than I've seen before.
Yeah.
Really? And I'm telling you, there were families. It was wonderful people, people that are going to come back during the year when it's not Nights of Lights. It was huge success. And instead of celebrating and saying, okay, how to fix this, we're saying it's too much. That's the wrong attitude to have. I told you the wayfinding was terrible. People could not find it. The parking garage, they did spend the money on it. I appreciate it. But when you can't find it, it doesn't really work to its full potential.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah. This is just I just don't understand them at the city over the past few years. I just don't. They just don't make much sense sometimes. So. And they seem to speak without really comprehending the numbers. They seem to speak a lot, especially these two, without really having a full grasp on what the information looks like.
Well, they had, I mean, and it's inconvenient. I live downtown. It's inconvenient, but you plan for it. And I live closer to the center of it than anybody on that commission. I am in it, and you just have to plan for it. And I lived in the city before I worked for the hoteliers, and I planned for it. I knew in those couple of weeks I had to be here at this time, or I'm going to be caught up in it. Yeah. So it's just part of the benefit of living in a city like ours.
Let me ask you a question, Troy. Yes. Doesn't the mayor, who's talking about making drastic changes to Nights of Lights, the biggest tourism event in St. Augustine throughout the year, doesn't she sit on the Tourist Development Council?
Yeah, she does. So, I mean,
how long's that gonna last?
Well, she appoints herself.
She gets. Oh, does she get to appoint herself?
Yeah, the three largest municipalities have to have representation. So she's the mayor. So she gets to do the appointments for the city. So she's appointed herself, and it's probably one of the.
Does she have to appoint herself?
She doesn't have to, but
well,
it's probably the largest dollars and cents board that's over at the county.
Yeah.
So it's a big board. So Dylan, who's the mayor over there, he actually appointed himself. So it's, I mean, if I was mayor, I'd appoint myself.
It's common enough.
Yeah,
Right.
And Chairman Joseph, who's, she's now the chairman, she's now appointed herself to the TDC. So it's fairly common if you handle the appointments, the TDC is the one, because it brings in about $26 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a valuable board to be on. So I definitely don't fault her for appointing herself on it. But, you know, part of the mission is to try and figure out how to get tourism there. And it is part of the experience. And the experience, to me, the problem was in getting the people to the right location. You know, the people that went to the lots that, you know, I have a couple lots that I help manage and stuff like that. And they said, oh, well, we just didn't know how to get here. And they stumbled upon this lot. They didn't know where to go, because once the parking garage was closed,
right,
they didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
Everybody goes down Castillo, sees the X's are closed on the little sign, which is great too. But there needs to be an app that kind of guides them to, here's how to get here. And we need to do a better job of communicating that to our visitors.
Yeah. And I think if you talk to a lot of people who are fed up with tourism, which there's quite a few people in St. Augustine that will say they're fed up with the year-round tourism. But I think we all understand the impact of Nights of Lights. I think people are most frustrated with never getting a break from tourism these days, you know, not with Nights of Lights. I mean, people's gripe, traffic sucks. Yeah, we all get it. Like, we all get it. We've lived here long enough to where we make plans. We plan accordingly for those 3 months. We really do. We understand the impact of Nights of Lights. What people are frustrated with is year-round tourism and never getting a break, and that's a whole different conversation. But this just seems ill-informed to me. Seems ill-informed. Yeah. All right, moving on. The historic King's Head British Pub.